All right, here we go. Hello and welcome to the first of 4 very special trainings I'm doing in anticipation of the release of my upcoming day game product. I know there are probably some people trickling in, but we're just going to get going because there's a lot of material to cover. On these 4 trainings, I'm going to discuss 4 very specific areas of game that I think are absolutely critical to succeeding. This first one is going to be all about how to get a number and make it solid. All right, this is super critical. If you're getting flaky numbers, you're wasting tons and tons of time, and there are so many little things you can do that are so easy that will get you from mediocre results to excellent results like that. So I'm going to teach you those with infield examples, etc. Second training we're going to do is on a very specific topic to me, which is what I call finding the girl's blueprint. This is almost like reading the girl's mind, looking inside her head, knowing exactly what she finds valuable, exactly what she's looking for in a man, exactly what she expects in a sexual experience. So you can basically give her that exact experience. Now you can get laid without knowing the girl's blueprint, but it's much harder to do so, and it's much easier if you know exactly what you're doing. The third one is one of the questions I get asked more than any other, and actually when I put out the YouTube video announcing this particular training, one of the questions that I got asked first, which is how do I attract, how do I give those emotional spikes? So we're going to talk exactly about that, exactly how to get the girl chasing you, falling in love with you, make the conversation emotional, man to woman, etc. So we're going to talk about those attraction type tactics. And then the fourth one, we're going to go really deep on getting her invested, getting her to want to be your girlfriend. So that's a little curriculum of what we're going to go over. But the first one, like I said, is all about getting the number. And in order to get a solid number, there are a few different things that need to be in place. And I'll give you a little history on exactly where this came from and why I wanted to do this particular training. You guys may know, I guess it was about 9 months ago now, I did a video that was, I guess actually more like almost a year ago. Yeah, almost a year ago. I did a video that was getting 23 numbers in 2 hours. And this is a little challenge I made for myself. It was just how many numbers can I get in 2 hours? I didn't think I was going to get anywhere near 23. But as I was doing this, I had no idea or no inkling in my head or no attempt to try and make the numbers solid. I was just trying to get numbers and that's it. And so I was overtly doing what I would consider in some ways bad game. But the funny thing is that because I've been doing game for so long, even as I was doing bad game, there are so many fundamental little habits that I have that made the numbers solid that I ended up getting a decent number of solid numbers. So of the 23 numbers, I literally was just trying to get flaky numbers from the get-go. I actually, sending only one text, never following up beyond one text with any girl, got 8 replies of the 23, and 5 girls specifically asked me about plans that night. So I had girls actually chasing me, asking me for plans in many cases with just these 2 hours of work. And that's not even probably as much as I could have gotten had I followed up with some other girls. So I was actually quite shocked by how solid these numbers were. Because again, that's not what I was expecting. And it made me start to think, what was I doing that made these solid? And what are the inherent things in my game that are making the numbers solid? So without further ado, I'm going to show you guys that video so that you kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you the YouTube version of that video for those of you who haven't seen it. And then once that video is done, I'm going to kind of crack into all the reasons, all the formulas, all the ways that I can make a number solid. So here we go. All right, so here we are with the video on YouTube. I'm going to get it started for you guys.
Hey, what's up? Todd Valentine here, and I have a little challenge today. I'm going to go get as many phone numbers as I can in 2 hours. We actually have 2 hours till boot camp, so that'll be a limiting factor. It is, so show it to you, 4:17 p.m., starting boot camp at 6:30, so we'll go till 6:17. I haven't done numbers in a while. I've been in Vegas trying to pull, so it's going to be interesting. I'm a little rusty, but we'll see what I'm capable of. I think it'll be fun. Let's do this. Who are you?
It's 5'5".
Hey, I'm sorry, excuse me.
That sounds nice, but I do have a boyfriend, so...
That's okay. Okay, what's the number?
714.
714. Excuse me.
Here's my phone number.
What are you pointing at?
I'm running.
Running where?
To the store.
Really? Okay, before you go, literally 2 seconds. Number?
917.
Excuse me. That was the cutest look, by the way. Para mí no es una palabra, pero me encanta el idioma.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're adorable. What is
you.
up with you? You're funny, actually. You guys have a very innocent look, but you also have like the very sort of sheltered, kind of guarded look at the same time. How old are you?
19.
Okay, what's your number? It's Todd. T-O-D-D.
Todd.
I'll text you in a second.
323.
I'm actually legitimately intrigued by you.
Why?
Well, because you look so cute and classy, and then you look like such a mess at the same time with like the nacho and the pretzel and the salt. What are you doing right this second?
I'm going to yoga class.
You're going to yoga class? Of course you are. What do? It's a complicated story. We'll take your number. Let's talk this weekend, and if we can figure out something to do, that'll be perfect. Does that work?
That'd be fun. Yeah, let's do something fun.
Hello. Pardon me. I'm sorry, you're walking very, very fast.
Yeah, what's up?
I've never had to be this like aerobically fit to talk to a girl before. No, we don't do handshakes. You and I know handshakes.
What is your name?
Todd. T-O-D-D. I'll text you in a second. It's T-O-D-D. Come here. You're absolutely adorable.
Thank you for being so brave.
Thank you for being so sweet. I'd be open to having like a smoothie or something with you.
A smoothie?
Yeah.
You invite me for a smoothie? We'll give
I will invite you. Okay, I can do that. I will text you, and we will meet up and like do tea and conversation. Sound good? You have the very the sexy smoker voice. How old are you guys actually?
20.
20. Okay. I'll take your number and then maybe in a couple hours.
Okay.
Perfect. What is your number, dear?
607.
I almost like ran into a bike for you. How do you feel about this? I feel like a Romeo and Juliet situation right now. Halhai.
Yley.
See, I would never figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You're ridiculous. What is your number? I'll text you and we can go from there. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, what is it? Alright, what is it?
It's 66?
626?
Yeah.
You like coffee or smoothies?
I like coffee.
You like coffee? Okay, we'll do coffee. So I might get a hot chocolate though. I hope that doesn't offend your coffee drinking senses.
Well, I have a boyfriend, so...
Totally fine.
That may be an issue.
Totally fine. I will still do a coffee with you. What's your number? I'll text you.
It's 415.
And you're undeniably cool.
Thank you.
No, that was a question. It's a question. You're undeniably cool. Possibly cool. Chances of cool like greater than 50%.
Chances of cool higher than 50%.
What is the number?
818.
Okay, Camellia, come here. You're adorable. You're absolutely adorable.
Thank you.
Just give it a second so it goes through. I will ring you sometime.
Okay.
And then bring these troublemakers with you, and we'll go like I don't know, start some fires or something.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Sorry. So, I don't know that.
I can't believe I just got run over by like a school of like Japanese tourists. What is your number, dear?
It is 917.
Time 6:17. End. So that was fun. 2 hours of chaos and insanity. A lot of fun results, a lot of interesting sets. I just wanted to show you how easy it actually is to do an approach and how easy it is to get a number. It doesn't take that much. And, you know, it's fun. Games should be fun. So I hope you enjoyed that half as much as I did. It's kind of funny, actually, because as I look around, like, I see girls now, and I'm just like, I want to go. I'm definitely in that mood, which is also great. But yeah, I hope it was fun for you. If you like what you saw, subscribe.
So that was obviously a fun afternoon, and I was surprised I even got 23 numbers. But again, because the interactions were so rushed, I was pretty sure that it was going to be a lot of flakes. Because the standard rhetoric on how to get a solid number is spend time with the girl, really get to know her, really build a connection, that kind of stuff. And obviously, when you're getting the numbers in, between 1 and 2 minutes, and when you're leaving the exact second that you get the number, obviously there's a lot there that's being left to be desired. But there are some elements that are still in these interactions that are very good and were allowing me to get, it turns out, a lot of them being solid. And I'm going to kind of crack into what those are now. The first of those is qualifying. If the girl is qualifying herself to you, that does a few really, really major things. So for those of you who don't know, qualifying is essentially trying to justify herself, trying to prove herself, or falling into your frame in any way. So when you notice a girl doing that, that means the girl's pretty into you, so obviously that's a good sign for a positive interaction, a positive number. But it even goes beyond that, because when you are, as a man, qualifying the girl, when you are being the selector, when you're saying, are you this, are you that, are you the other, or if you're in a position of being high enough value to approve of her, instead of her having to, her having the option, I guess, of deciding that you're worthy, that's a very, very powerful and valuable place to be in. So, very, very critical that you have that in your favor. Also, though, when she qualifies, something else has happened, which is she starts to feel special. So, number one, you're in that powerful, high-value role, but number two, she feels special. She feels like you liked her for a reason, And so she earned you. She wasn't just like the next girl and you just didn't do this to everybody. So it actually builds a lot of trust as well. So it builds value and trust at the same time. And anyone who knows game well knows that in order for a girl to sleep with you, she needs value and comfort. Similarly, for a girl to go on a date with you, she needs some level of value and comfort. So qualification, super, super important. That's why it is so important. Next thing I want to kind of touch on is how do you qualify? And there are really three major ways that I think you can qualify and that I think are good. The first and most obvious is to overtly ask qualifying questions. You just say like, actually, this was something that guys used to do back in old school pickup. They'd be like, "Are you adventurous? Do you cook? Are you a responsible person?" They'd overtly ask these qualifying questions, and there's nothing really wrong with that or bad about it. I don't love it only because big premise that I have in game is that you shouldn't talk about game in game, but it works. It gets the job done. However, the next two ways I think are actually a little bit better because they're a little smoother, or they add a little bit more in terms of adding value and continuing the set in a natural and high value way. So the second one is to just find things that she does that you can qualify her on. So if she says she likes a particular type of music, you can say, "Oh, I love it that you like that," etc., etc. Or if she says something, use a big word, you'd be like, "Wow, it's cool that you actually, use multisyllabic words. I don't have to talk down to you." That's really good. When you do this kind of qualification, and when you do any kind of qualification, it's also very important that you occasionally disqualify as well. If everything you say is, "I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you for this, I love you for that," it becomes very boring. It becomes very obvious. You lose sexual attention. And also the qualifiers themselves don't have as much value. But when you occasionally love some things and dislike other things, then it's going to be much more powerful. So you want to remember to qualify and disqualify both, no matter what you're doing. But it's good when it happens organically. And I think the third and best way to qualify, actually, is just to challenge the girl in general and let her fall into your frame. So you can do things like, you and I won't get along. Oh my God, I can't believe you said that. We're done. That kind of stuff. And then she'll start justifying sort of in a more organic way. So all of these ways to get her to qualify are very, very effective, and you should use them all. But the biggest thing is just be aware of qualifying, and you'll start to notice it, start to see it coming up in your set. Last kind of question in terms of qualifying that I get a lot and that I want to explain the answer to you is, when should you qualify? And the answer to when you should start qualifying the girl is as soon as humanly possible. Ideally, if I could walk up to a girl and be like, "Hey, what makes you cool?" and have her start qualifying, I would love that. I don't do that because from the very start, she doesn't have a lot of reason to qualify to you yet. She doesn't know you well. She doesn't know that she wants your approval. But as soon as she starts indicating positive things, as soon as she's like giggling, fidgeting, a lot of times asking you questions is a really big one. Those kind of things, that's when you should overtly start trying to get her to qualify. And actually, a lot of times it'll happen organically. When she starts asking questions and fidgeting and giggling and being emotionally sort of engaged and even emotionally overwhelmed by you, she'll naturally start qualifying, so you won't even have to do anything. Okay, so that's kind of the why, the how, and the when on qualification. Now I'm going to show you one of the actual sets from that 23 numbers little rampage that I did. And we're going to break it down in some depth. So without further ado, here we go. All right, so here's an example. Let's just get it started, and I'll comment as we go. Here I'm chasing the girl down.
Hello? Pardon me. I'm sorry, you're walking very, very fast.
Yeah, what's up?
I've never had to be this like aerobically fit to talk to a girl before. Who are you? You have a good sense of humor, though.
Okay, so already right there, that's a qualifier. I mean, she hasn't really shown much, but she's already laughing. She's already responding positively. So then I comment, you have a good sense of humor, right? That's already one reason why she's standing out, just aside from just like sort of physical beauty, that sort of stuff.
I'm Todd.
Todd?
That is correct. I admire your sense of purpose and your colorful attire.
Right, so those are kind of qualifiers. The colorful attire one, though, is sort of demeaning. So that's getting into the realm of sort of like attraction lines and whatnot, or sort of tease lines. And we'll talk actually a lot on that on the third of the trainings. But notice already, again, I am qualifying already this early in the interaction.
To find out more about you.
Are you just walking down the street?
And right there, I want to find out more about you. That's the most overt qualifying line. So that's very, very useful.
I was walking to be completely fair, I was walking to go find my friends. I saw you, and I had to run after you and say hi because I don't know, like something about your look intrigued me. I couldn't tell you what, but it's just why not?
Couldn't tell you what. That's another opportunity for her to qualify. It's also sort of a disqualifier in a way, right? If I'm like, I love you, I love everything about you, that's a little bit too strong. But when I go do these little subtle pushaways, that makes the qualification I'm doing, it makes the things that I do find interesting in her actually stand out and mean something as opposed to just being like a smattering of compliments.
Where are you headed home right now? Or?
No, I'm just going to the beach for a little bit.
Really? Okay. I would.
And at this point, based on her vibe, the way she's acting, where she's going, how she's dressed, etc., I can already sort of like sum up some things about her personality. So I can sort of use that and I can adopt a similar vibe in the interaction myself. I'm not going to go super in depth on that in this particular training, but remember that's the subject and topic of the second training. It's all about finding the girl's blueprint, knowing how to communicate, how to show value in a way that's congruent for her. So I won't go into depth on that, but I do just want to point it out that I'm already starting to have that sort of a sense about this girl.
Funny enough, I would love nothing more than go to the beach with you, but I do have my friends from out of town who would probably kill me if I did that.
And this is kind of funny. Because it was the 23 numbers in 2 hours and I was just trying to get a lot of numbers, I was actually overtly trying not to do an Insta-date. But in a normal situation, probably what I would do here is try and Insta-date her. But my goals here were different, so I just went for the number.
I'm reading a book, so...
I promise you I'm more interesting than any book you've ever read. And that's a big statement because I read a lot and I've read some very good literature. So that's me being extremely arrogant as far as that goes. What are you reading?
And that there is more attraction type stuff. Again, we'll talk about that in depth on the third training, but I wanted to point it out here as well.
Strong girl.
Interesting. Okay, on your way to the beach, stop 2 seconds because I'm going to go back this way eventually. Okay. You are, I don't know, devastatingly cute in your way. And
qualifying, but also the disqualifier, right? In your way makes it not just a throwaway compliment. It's not like, you're so pretty, you have such nice eyes. It's not as bullshit because there's a little disqualification in it as well.
And have your shit together and whatnot. I'm intrigued. I want to...
And intrigued. Not in love, not decided, intrigued. I still want to find out more.
Coffee, no. Smoothie, maybe. I want to hang out in... Where do you live?
San Diego.
That's fine. I'm all up and down, actually. That's fine. Let's do a smoothie next time I'm in San Diego. Does that work?
How about this? You give me your number. And
always nice when they number close you. Now, a lot of guys will think, you giving the girl your number isn't as good of a deal, and that's usually the case. If you try and close her and she's like, no, why don't I take your number instead, that's usually very bad. But if out of nowhere or out of just like a vague plan, she's taking your number, that's actually quite good. You still want to make sure that you get her number in your phone as well, just so you have the option. But don't think that in this particular context, that's necessarily a bad thing.
My friend are going out tonight. I don't know where, but if you guys aren't doing anything.
That sounds perfect.
And there, of course, she's already trying to make plans, so that's obviously quite good.
My friends probably will be going out, and we only have one
Here
plan.
Or
So
like somewhere else?
we're thinking maybe bungalow, but we are open to suggestions. I've heard the wait there's annoying and stuff. So.
And then I'm making specific plans. We'll talk about that later in this training, but I want you to take note of it as well.
All right, what's your name again?
Todd.
L.A. Fun?
You said me as Todd L.A.?
Yeah.
All right, teasing, making fun of her. I'm gonna in a second make fun of her a little bit more, but these are some of those attraction type lines and techniques that we'll be talking about in the third training. But just want you to be aware.
Goodness, such a player. All right. And shoot me a text real fast with yours, because I'm really okay. That works too. That works too. That's cool. So you're from San Diego. You're in town for how long?
Just tonight.
Just tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And then back to the more chill, nice place where you hang out at the beach instead of being all like.
Yeah, my friend's still at work, so I'm just waiting for her to get off, and we're gonna
Gotcha.
hang out.
I don't know what it is like. Did you play sports or do you work out or something? There's something like
Don't
very.
work out.
Right, more qualifying. Do you play sports? Do you work out? That's actually something I care a lot about. I like fit girls. So that's one I bring up a lot. I really suggest for everybody, come up with your own list of qualifiers. Come up with your own sort of like range of things you're really looking for in a girl and screen actively for those things.
I'm on a softball league right now.
Really? Why do you look so sporty? Are you just just that genetic? This is you?
Yeah.
Like my color
Does
ID?
it come up with my name?
Only I pay for like caller ID. So I have like caller ID on my cell phone, yeah. It's good actually. So now I can no, we don't do handshakes. You and I know handshakes. Call me later, we'll talk later. Be good.
Take care.
Yes.
All right, so set looks pretty good, but let's actually see the results. Give me a second. There we go. So this was her following up with me later, basically asking me for plans, etc. And obviously I flaked off, but note the date and timestamp, etc. Just so that you know it's from the same day as the others, etc. But here we go, basically pursuing me for plans right from the very start. Okay, so you can't get much more solid than that. All right. Alright, so I'm sure you noticed the qualification there. Another thing that you will have probably noticed in that set is that I didn't just say, like, what's your number out of nowhere. I sort of made plans with her in exchanging the phone numbers. In fact, she, kind of asked me for my number, but I'd started making plans first. And when we did exchange numbers, there was a very definite plan. The definite plan was obviously she's going to call me later, figure out what her friend's doing, etc. And then that leads right into the texting where she's directly following up with me. So the whole thing, it works out pretty well. There's a lot of continuity there. And if there's that idea in the girl's mind of actual plans, the number's going to be much more solid, which is actually the second point I want to make in this training session, is that you should have a premise behind it. If it's just, let me get your number because I want your number, that doesn't really work. Specific plans make a big difference, and here's why. First is specific plans is a specific thought, a specific vision in her head, and when you have that, the number is more real to her. It means more, it seems like an actual gonna happen event, as opposed to this kind of like wishy-washy, whatever kind of thing, okay? But here's the other big reason, is that a lot of guys, when they get phone numbers, they seem to treat the number as as an end in itself, whereas what they should be doing is treating it as a means to an end. Okay, the number is not an end in itself. The number is not a trophy. The number is not an end objective. It's just a bridge. Right? The premise behind the number should be, we can't hang out now. It would be great to hang out. So this is the only way we can do it. This is what makes sense, and it should be like a logical sort of foregone conclusion. Okay, so it's very, very important to have that premise, ideally even have plans behind it, but at the very least have the premise of we're doing this to hang out, we're doing this because we like each other, we're doing this to get to know each other. The more that exists, the more solid the number will be because the more real it is in her mind. Okay, that also leads me into something that I do whenever I am number closing, which is what I call the soft close. And this was a great example of that because I definitely was starting to make plans with her. I was definitely indicating that I was about to make some plans, go for a number, something like that, because I was starting to screen, what she's doing, suggest that I enjoy talking to her, etc. That's what I call the soft close. And the great thing about that is this. A lot of guys, I like to equate the way they close to sort of like the cartoon where the anvil drops in the middle of the screen just out of nowhere. And if it comes by surprise like that, no one really quite knows how to react to it. So a lot of guys will have this like totally platonic interaction. They're just talking to the girl, and then all of a sudden, boom, asking for the phone number. And the girl probably doesn't even know how to react to that. So she'll get nervous, she'll get weird and awkward, and she'll probably give some kind of resistance. And as soon as she's already said no to it once, now you're fighting an uphill battle. Now in order to get her number, you have to convince her she was wrong. And people just in general don't like admitting that they're wrong. So what I do is, like I said, the soft close, which is I'll sort of start hinting at the idea of plans or hinting at the idea of getting together, and I'll note her reaction. If she immediately tenses up and like seems nervous, I will stop with the close, go back to normal conversation, have fun, keep it interesting, and then bring it up later. If she seems positive on what's going on, then I'll continue. So I might be something like, just off the top of my head, I'm surprised that you seem kind of, this is qualifying again, I'm surprised you seem, kind of interesting. I think you might be kind of a fun person to hang out with. And I note her reaction. If she's like, yeah, you'd be fun too, they're like, cool, how should we do that? And it just makes sense. If on the end she's like, well, I don't know you, well, then you're not going to go ahead and close then. it's not that you're never gonna close. It's not that she doesn't like you ever. It's just you're not there yet. So you back down a little bit, go back to normal conversation, make it fun, funny, light, and then you can go ahead and soft close in a different way later. And the great thing here is that not only are you avoiding that hard no, where you're then going to have to persuade her later, but you're actually getting a soft yes. And there's a thing called a compliance ladder. It's used in sales and persuasion all the time. But if people say yes to one thing, they're more likely to say yes to another. So if you get that little yes, then you're more likely to get the next little yes and the next little yes, and then the big yes just comes very congruently. Okay, so that's what you want to really be working towards, is getting that real, that yes, that ladder of yeses, and that's what I call the soft close, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit more about premise, but in order to demonstrate it, I'm going to show you another infield example. So here we go. Okay, so as you see here, I'm approaching again from behind. This is me. This is the girl I'll be approaching, and let's roll it.
Hello, pardon me. You have the most sophisticated look. I really like it. Who are you? Todd, nice to meet you.
So here already I'm qualifying her. To go back to the previous point, I'm already giving a positive reason why I like her, this non-physical, and then the who are you is an opportunity for her to qualify. She may or may not take it, but I'm already giving her the opportunity.
Where's your accent from? Really? Okay, I've never been from before.
Okay, and this is absolutely critical to the set. So she is very foreign, right? She has an accent. She's from a place I've never been to, but she's very much not American. So this is going to tell me a lot about her blueprint. This tells me a lot about her cultural history, and I will treat this girl differently than I would a girl that is just white bread American, right? She has a different background, different probably cultural values, etc. And I'm taking all this information in how I'll interact with her from here forward. Now I'm going to talk obviously a lot more about this in the second training, but it's very much worth pointing out because understand that from the very beginning, I'm assessing these things and I have that idea in my head of exactly how to deal with any particular girl.
I know you do. You just look intriguing. I have to meet you.
Thank you.
More qualifying, right? Intriguing, a word I use a lot. But yeah, again, intriguing. I have to meet you. I have to find out about you. Tell me more, right? It's giving her the opportunity to qualify. It's letting her know I'm interested, but not just giving completely all my power away either.
Go. What are you doing right this second?
I'm going to my friends.
He works in here? Or she works in here?
And so now it's been positive enough that I'm already starting to figure out plans. I want to get this information. As soon as I get any inkling that the girl likes me, that's when I start making plans. My philosophy is close early, close often, close late. And this is the start of essentially the soft close. And the reason I want to start making plans early is twofold. Number one, the plans might just happen. And number two, if I start making the plans early, I'm going to find out what the objections are while I still have time to deal with them. If I wait till the very end to try and make plans, then I'll find out, oh, you can't do it because of this, and I'll have no time to work on it. All right, so very, very important. As soon as there's any indication that they like me, I make plans. But this is why the soft close is so important, because obviously right at the start, your first attempt at making plans isn't going to go as well as if there was more interaction before it.
Yeah, they're sitting there.
Gotcha, okay. I'm actually meeting my friends as well. I was actually supposed to meet my friends, and I saw you, I was like, I have this jacket.
So now we're starting to get into premise. So when I say I know she's meeting her friends, and I'm saying I was meeting my friends as well, I'm making it very clear, okay, we can't hang out now. So the reason why it makes sense for us to get, numbers and follow up is not that, we don't like each other enough to hang out now. It's because logistics are not in our favor. That's the first part of premise.
How could I not talk to her? Do you live in the area?
And this is qualifying in premise as well. If she lives in a convenient place, that's a good qualifier that we could hang out later. Also, though, I'm premising the get-together. If she lives close, it's more logical, more reasonable, so it's a more solid idea in her mind.
Not right now. Yeah, I live in LA.
Okay, that works. Let's do coffee, smoothie. Smoothie's better. Sometime when...
And then, of course, this is directly premise, making the plans. You'll notice I did something here called the false choice. Instead of saying, do you want to get a coffee? I say, let's do coffee, smoothies. No, coffee's better. Or smoothies are better, whatever. So it's a way of getting more compliance more easily. So it's a little trick that you can use. But the big thing here is that I'm setting plans rather than just going for the number in a vacuum. All right, very, very important to have that solid idea in her head.
Have friends. Is that good? Yeah, okay. What is your number? I'll text you. maybe later today, and maybe we'll do something later this weekend. Who knows?
Right, and again, I've even not only just specific plans, but even a specific idea of a time. And she's like, okay, she agrees to that. So in her head, she's already tentatively agreed to plans. It's already really solidly there.
Oh, nice. That's you? Cool. Okay, cool. I'm Todd. Do you have a very foreign spelling of your name, or how do you spell it?
And this is part of premise as well. So the fact that I care about the spelling of her name, it indicates to her that I really want this as an interaction with follow-up, not just as a number, as a prize, or as a victory, right? If you were just the number bandit and considering the phone number a victory, you'd just be happy to run away with it. But when I'm actually clarifying her name, clarifying the spelling, what am I doing? I'm indicating to her that I believe we have a future, that I believe that, in my head it could go somewhere. Also, just as an aside, if you've forgotten the girl's name, this kind of stuff is a decent way to kind of remember it or have her remind you of it, so that helps as well.
It starts with...
Sorry about the jumpiness.
Yes, and what is your name?
Todd, T-O-D-D. I'll text you in a second. It's T-O-D-D. All right, cool. You're absolutely adorable.
Right, and then the fact that she's confirming my name is a good sign as well. It means that she's on the same page of she actually thinks there's a future as well.
Thank you for being so brave.
Thank you for being so sweet.
Now, there was actually less of the sort of attraction lines and banter in that interaction. That has to do with the blueprint stuff, and I'll explain that again why in or that sort of concept why in the second training. But also remember on the third training we are going to talk about that attraction stuff. So stay tuned for that one as well. All right, so let's look at the text message from that one. This one's not quite as crazy effusive as the other one, but definitely very good. Thank you for the message, exclamation mark on Todd, etc. Very, very positive. So very, very solid in terms of the reaction from that sort of a shorter type of number. Even though these were really short interactions, there were a lot of elements there that helped to make them a lot more solid than they could have otherwise been, and gave it actually a chance of having a follow-up. The third thing that I want to talk about is exchanging some sort of information between you and the girl, developing some sort of comfort in the interaction. And obviously, because all these interactions that I'm showing you are very, very short, there is a limited amount of this. But notice that even though they are short, there is some. Right? There is some exchange of facts, some exchange of who we are. And a big part of it actually is exchange of personality. It's me being willing to say my opinions, me being willing to state my beliefs, be polarizing, that kind of stuff. That's actually important as well. That's part of conveying who you are as well. You should look at game in general as essentially your job is to convey who you are to a girl as quickly as possible. Now, the fundamental assumption there is that you are an attractive man. If you're not an attractive man, if you're not conveying attractive qualities, more time with you would only turn her off. But assuming you are conveying attractive qualities, which you should be, your premise should be, all I have to do is get her to spend time with me. My honest belief is that any girl who spends 5 hours with me is going to love me. There's no choice. She will love me, she will sleep with me, etc. So my job is in the first 10 seconds, or first 1 second, buy myself 10 seconds. In the first 10 seconds, buy myself a minute. In the first minute, buy myself 5. In the next 5, buy myself an hour. And then 5 hours, and then, it's all said and done from there, okay? But yeah, you want her to get to know you. So you want to be conveying your personality, having opinions, very, very, very critical. And then as much as you possibly can, if you can exchange some biographical information, that's useful too. Because it lets her trust you a little bit more because you're a more solid entity in her mind. And it also allows her to picture herself with you or explain to her friends or brag about you, that kind of stuff. The girls are sometimes really silly about this. I remember one of the first girls I ever slept with, and actually my first serious long-term girlfriend, when we were lying in bed together before we first had sex, right before we first had sex, we were making out. It was getting all hot and heavy. I thought, oh shit, this is going to happen. And then she stopped it cold and she goes, wait. What's your middle name? Right? What's your middle name? And it's such an interesting question to ask at that moment. And I told her, and she's like, okay, cool. And then she just went straight ahead and had sex with me. And what I realized is for her, part of her blueprint, part of the way she was looking at the world is if she had sex with me without knowing my middle name, she was a slut. But if she knew my middle name, then it was totally okay. So that's just a particular blueprint thing. Again, we'll talk about that on the next training. But very interesting how this biographical information can make a huge difference in terms of girls following up or girls flaking. So very, very critical, something to definitely focus on. So let's go ahead and look at another infield set.
No, hi, 2 seconds. I know, that's the funniest look. It's okay. What are you pointing at?
I'm running.
Running where?
So in this case, we're at a different angle. Instead of like chasing after her, I kind of like met her as she was coming across the street. I don't really like that approach angle, but it's how I saw her, so I didn't really have much choice in this particular case. Notice the urgency to get her to stop. It's kind of important because a lot of times if you aren't urgent and aren't entitled, they won't stop for you.
To the store.
Really? Okay, before you go, literally 2 seconds. I have to meet my friends anyway. It's okay.
And the false time constraint, standard game stuff. You make it your agenda, your time constraint rather than hers, so you're still high value. But also the time constraint lets her know that you're not going to try and keep her forever, so it makes her a lot more comfortable, and that's very, very important too.
Who are you? Because you just have this like extremely. Don't give me that look like you don't believe me. I'm saying you're cute.
Okay, so who are you is the qualification there, or the attempt. But then she's kind of giving me a shit test with her eyes, with her looks. And so this is where I get into those attraction tactics, turning it around, passing the shit test, that kind of stuff, which again, that'll be training number 3. We're going to talk super in depth on that. Definitely tune in for that one. I think that'll probably be one of the more popular ones that we're going to do.
Believe me when I say you're cute, that means you're not confident.
Right, and that's hardcore qualifying. It's actually sort of disqualifying and giving her the opportunity to qualify to me, giving her the opportunity to jump into my frame. If she starts qualifying herself, that's great. If she just accepts that frame and doesn't resist it, that actually is qualifying her too.
Who are you? I'm Todd. Where's that from? Russia. I like that. Okay. You're going to the...
So again, we know with the girl being Eastern European and that kind of stuff, that there's a particular sort of vibe and particular differences from an American girl. So I'm obviously going to be utilizing that, thinking in those terms, etc. So again, we'll talk about that again on the following training, the training number 2. But just be aware of it and be aware of how it affects the set.
And then from there, what? There's a reason I asked. Okay. Because I would definitely love to grab a smoothie with you, or something. Maybe a coffee or a smoothie, depending how tired I'm feeling. I think you're cute. I don't know you that well, which is fair.
So here again, premise behind the number, right? Why are we doing this? Not just randomly I want a number. It's a means to an end. It's not an end in itself.
You don't know me that well, but I'm cute, so it's okay. Let's do... I have to meet my friends. I'm doing like a business thing, but I'll be free. And
this is conveying some information, right? I'm conveying cockiness in my vibe. I'm conveying confidence, and now I'm conveying a little bit about my life. I have a business thing, meeting some friends, etc., etc. So I'm letting her get a little snapshot into my life. Now, again, this is a very short interaction, so it's not as complete as if I hung out with her for half an hour, but you just do what you can with the time allotted.
How about if I get in touch with you and we do like a smoothie or a coffee or something like that in a little bit?
Let's see what's happening. I'm meeting my friends.
Okay. How long have you been here from Russia? Were you're born here or born here?
No,
Okay, nice. Yeah, you seem fairly Americanized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, qualifying, finding out information, exchanging her information. Again, this all builds a connection. Oh, I didn't mention this really in the training part, but letting her know your information is important. Finding out hers equally or more important. It helps with qualification, but again, it also solidifies things in her mind. It solidifies it as a real deal, right? The more that she told you about herself, the more she's going to view it as you had a special interaction with her, as opposed to you just picked her up because she was hot. So that's absolutely critical. Really, really important to do that as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
What time are you meeting?
She didn't tell me yet.
Okay, well, let's do this. Why don't I'll take your number, I'll text you. If you're free, cool. If you're not cool, then cool.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Right, and this is conveying non-neediness. It's also conveying like a chill, relaxed personality. So all of these things are going to make her more likely to follow up. The less pressure that's on the number also will make her more likely to follow up and make it more likely to be solid.
And how do I spell your name? O-L something? Just how it spells. Oh yeah, okay, number? Perfect. Okay, I'll text you in like half an hour, whatever, alright? I'll see you in a bit.
Okay, so here we go. There we have the premise, we have some qualification, we have a pretty good set, and she's expecting a text from me. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the text right now. We go here. So actually I texted her right then and there, and then she actually got back to me. She didn't even wait for my text, but she got back to me. Obviously, she was waiting to find out the plans with her friend, and so found out the deal and was ready to make plans, ready to hang out right away, right then and there. Actually, this is another case where had I not been doing the challenge to get as many numbers as possible, there was that moment when she was kind of like, I don't know what my friend is doing. In reality, probably under normal conditions, I would have gone for an instant date. But it happened actually a few times during the number rampage that I had to like deny myself an instant date. The girl would be like, hey, let's go get I'm like, oh, no, I can't right now, but let me get your number. But in the real world, I probably would have tried to instant date this set as well. But you can see it's very, very solid, very, very good. Girl already trying to make plans, etc. That gives you a general idea of the key points you need to have in place to make a number solid. First, you need to qualify her, right? Very, very important that you let her know that it was special, let her know that she had to jump through hoops, let her know you're a high-value guy. Next is that you have a premise so that she has a solid idea in her mind. And third is that you exchange facts so she has a solid idea of who you are. And you've seen these sort of exemplified throughout the 3 interactions that I've shown you, even though they were very brief interactions. Obviously, in longer interactions, you'd see even more of all these things. And that's why longer interactions tend to be more solid. But right now, I want to give you 2 quick tips that you can do right at the very end with any number, whether it's a quick number, a longer number, whatever, to make it solid. And the first is qualify her while getting the number. Because a very interesting thing happens is once you get the number, the interaction fundamentally changes. Up until that moment, you're interacting as strangers or people who have just met. Once you've exchanged the number, now you're interacting as people who know each other and who are potentially making plans together. And so in her mind, there's that shift. And so when you're qualifying her as you get the number, she's going to take it all more seriously. She's going to it's going to mean more to her. And the idea that she was special, the idea that you have real plans, the idea that she won you over is really going to matter to her, right? Also, the fact that you're qualifying to her as you're getting the number, it's indicating that the number is not just not an end, it's a means to an end, that it's a bridge and there's future plans there. So it's very, very congruent with being high value. It's very congruent with the idea that you guys have something special. And so if you can qualify while getting the number, a lot of times they'll say wait, do you remember my name? Or I'll be like, wait, what part of the city do you live in? Any of those kind of qualifiers. I'll be like, wait, are you athletic? Are you adventurous? As I'm getting the number. The other thing that this does well is that in general, you want to just be talking as you get the number. You don't want it to be fun set, and then you're awkward silence while getting the number. So it also keeps the banter going, so that the girl doesn't come out of whatever state of good mood she's in and that kind of stuff. So it's a really, really powerful thing. Qualify while getting the number in one way, shape, or form. Makes things a lot more solid. The other one, which is something I obviously couldn't do in this case because most of these numbers I'm trying to get them in 1 or 2 minutes and get on to the next because I was doing the day game rampage, is stay 5 minutes after the number. It makes it so solid because, again, once you have gotten the number, everything from that moment on is under the premise of we like each other, we're going to hang out, this is going somewhere. Whereas everything before that was under the premise of we just met, we're strangers, whatever. Okay, so stay those 5 minutes after. In fact, I a lot of times, time builds comfort and time builds a solidity of an interaction. But a lot of times we'll say that I'd rather have a very quick number and stay 5 minutes after instead of a long, even half an hour interaction and then have to leave right after getting the number. Because the time after getting the number is so powerful. So really try and do that if you can. Now, obviously you can't always. Obviously, sometimes the reason you're getting the number right then, and oftentimes the reason you're getting the number right then is that, she has to go somewhere, and that goes along with premise. But if you at all can, try and stay those 5 minutes longer. Okay, very, very important. All right, I'm going to show you briefly one more screenshot. This is from another girl that I picked up during that day. It's actually, if you go back to the original video or look at it on YouTube at some point, it's the girl, if it says 17 on the screen and shifts to 18, she would have been like the 18th number that I got. This is just the follow-up from that girl as well. So I'll just show you the text follow-up. Just another example of what it looks like when you have that really solid interaction. So here we go. Shot. And again, I just enter the number, and then what happened to yogurt and smoothies. Again, this illustrates a lot of the points, right? Because there was that premise behind it, was we're planning on getting yogurt and smoothies. When I didn't get back to her for several hours, then she's like, what happened? Well, where was that? She really fully expected it wasn't just a number for nothing. It was a number to lead to plans. She's actually disappointed when it didn't happen. So that just shows you the power of, running that good set, qualifying her in, and mostly just having that strong premise. Okay, so that's just another example I wanted to show you guys so you can see how important it is to get a strong set. A lot of guys talk about text game, and I do deal with text game a lot in my speeches, and there's extensive stuff on text game in the day game product, etc. But the best and first part of text game is running a great set. If you run a great set, as you can see in the examples I've shown here, a lot of times the text game is almost done for you because they're pursuing you for plans. And that's the ideal scenario, right? Obviously, text game is important. Obviously, follow-up's important, and you need to learn that. But again, running a good set makes everything massively easier. So I just wanted to show you one more of those screenshots really fast. Now you have a pretty basic outline of exactly the factors you need to have in place in order to get a quick phone number that will actually be solid, or just to make any phone number that you get solid. All right, but now I want to talk about supercharging it. I want to talk about going beyond solid to getting the girl to overtly chase you. You noticed in these interactions, I got texts where not only was the girl just responding, but she was actually like trying for plans right away. And these are after quick interactions. Imagine if I had like 45-minute or hour-long interactions where I'm really spending time with the girl. Imagine how much better that could be. And what I want to get to here is sort of a quick model of game. You guys may be familiar with the value and comfort model, but if not, I'll explain it very briefly. The idea of that model is that for a girl to sleep with you, she's going to need value plus comfort. Right? Value lets you know that you're a worthy, worthwhile guy. Comfort lets her know that you're safe. And that she can trust you and that you won't screw over, that sort of thing. And so a girl wants both of those qualities. And if you have value without comfort, she'll be nervous to meet up with you, and she won't meet up because she's nervous. So if you add some comfort into the mix, then she'll feel comfortable, she'll feel willing to meet up with you, she'll think that it's safe, it's not a big deal, etc. And actually that's a bigger thing in meeting up. This is very key. To get a girl to meet up, you don't want to so much sell that it's amazing meeting you, you want to sell that it's low risk. Because if she gave you the number, if she's already interacting with you, she likes you. The bigger thing isn't that she doesn't like you, it's that she needs to be convinced it's not a big risk. There's very little downside. Okay, so that comfort is absolutely huge. However, to get the girl to chase, what you need to do is once you have that comfort in place, or along with having that comfort in place, really just bump the value through the roof. And more so than even thinking of it as value in terms of emotional stimulation, because that's how most guys think of value. Most guys think of value as like stimulating the girl, making her giggle, getting her like in a high buying temperature, we call it. Instead, I want to think of a different kind of value, which is what I call investment and compliance. Okay, investment and compliance value. And that's where we talk about making the girl chase. Right, making the girl start asking you questions, making the girl compliment you, making the girl acknowledge that she really wants to be with you, not just emotionally, but actually logically, getting her to make a strong decision in your favor. And when we get this to be the case, that's when the girls are really going to chase you. So a couple of things you can do to get the girl to chase. First is allow some silences in your interaction. If you're talking the entire time, talking, there's no moment when she can fill that conversational gap and start chasing you. And so even if she is into you or aroused by you, she doesn't feel the need to chase you, and also there's no opportunity. So it'll just never happen. And by default, because you're doing all the talking, you're the one who's working, you're the one who's trying hard, and you'll seem to be the more needy one in the interaction. So the first one is give her the opportunity to chase. Second thing that you can do is to give her like a reason to chase. If you convey yourself as high value, and again, we'll talk about this a lot on the third training. We talk about attraction and high value, that kind of stuff. If you convey yourself appropriately as high value, she's going to feel the need to chase. She's going to feel that value gap, or she's going to feel emotionally aroused by you. Okay, so that's very critical as well. Third thing you can do is actually push the girl away, right? If you actually push the girl, like, oh, you know what, this isn't working, never mind. Or, you know what, you can go now. Or, you and I might not get along. Or, I like you, but, it's whatever. I just met you. We're strangers. No big deal. Anytime you downplay things, disqualifying is another form of push away. Be like, I like you, but you're too tall. Or, I like you, but I just don't know. Whatever. I'm not really looking for anyone right now. Those kind of disqualifiers, they give her that opportunity to chase and that strong desire to chase. Most girls, especially hot girls, are not accustomed to not being chased, or not accustomed to having any kind of disqualification. They're accustomed to men like sort of worshiping them. So when you are that guy who can disqualify, you're the guy that can push them away, you're going to really, really stand out. And that's absolutely like critical for your success. Okay, so these are the different things you want to be doing. And then the final thing to get them to chase is actually get logical decisions from them. You can even say things like, oh, you like me, that's cute. Or you could say things like, you could even make them repeat things and be like, repeat after me, Todd, you're smart and you have a good point. And if they repeat that, that's compliance. That's making a decision in your favor. Okay? So these are tactics and techniques you can use to get the girl to chase. And if you want the girl to be pursuing you, following up hard with you, you want to have these in your interaction. Also, I want to point out that for every girl, the things that will be valued, the things that will get her to chase, are dependent on her blueprint. Okay, so in order to properly utilize all this, you want to know how to read the girl's blueprint, and you want to understand attraction tactics, and that's why we've designed these lessons in the way that we have, so that training number 2 and training number 3 will be talking about exactly this stuff, so it'll all build on this and really, really get the girl to chase you. So be sure to tune in for those trainings. All right. I'm going to show you one more quick infield example. I won't narrate this one too much, but this is an example of what it looks like when a girl is pretty invested, is chasing in sort of a fairly normal day game set.
Hello. Hi, you too. Hello. Hi. I literally have like 10 seconds to talk to you because my friends are going to drag me away. They hate me being,
Okay, 10
seconds. Oh my goodness. Hi, Feisty Girl. I'm Todd.
So notice at the start here, I'm very much the one that's trying hard, right? It's not like I just said hi to her and she started chasing from the get-go. So this is one where I did have to flip the script and I did have to like overtly do things to make her chase. In fact, I'm even going to like literally chase her and her friend across the street to start the interaction.
Hello, other girl. Don't stand in the street. Okay. There's a part of me that's like, this girl's the biggest pain in the ass I've ever met.
So notice these sort of disqualifiers, these sort of like, this again be attraction lines, that kind of stuff. Notice the response it gets. Notice how reactive she becomes to it and how it adds energy to the interaction, but it also puts me in the position of being the selector, being the high-value person, and then she is, by default, the one chasing.
Promise?
That's why I'm like still here.
Yeah?
I'm a nice person.
Cool. If you're a fun bitch, it's okay.
Would you be willing to go tomorrow?
Right, and see now she's already making plans. And what does she make plans right after? Is after the push away. So again, notice these things. And again, I noticed with her, once she started reacting to these things, that's a part of her blueprint, right? That's part and parcel of what works with her. So you'll notice a lot of times, and again, this goes into the subject matter for the second lesson that I'm going to teach, or the second training, which is once you notice patterns in what they're responding to, you can utilize those patterns and keep hitting on the same thing. So definitely tune into the next training, and I'll go more in depth on that.
We can hang out tomorrow.
Okay.
What do you? Yeah. We can
My birthday is actually tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
How old are you, babe?
Oh,
you're adorable.
I'm 22. I'm a youngin'. So we're just gonna like hang out on milk tonight, and then we're gonna go to shopping.
Right, so now again, she's making the plans with me, trying to get me out. All very, very positive. Notice though, I am qualifying her. Even though she's chasing, I reward her chasing. I don't just let her chase and never get a reward. So sometimes I push her away, make her chase more. Sometimes I reward her. If you just push and push and push, the girl eventually will give up. Eventually she'll be like, oh, well, I can't win with this guy, and so it won't work out. So you do need to let her win a little bit as well. That's a key part to getting them to chase, is like knowing when it's time to be nice as well.
Perfect. Yeah, I will be there. Let's do numbers.
Just I'll put my number in your phone. You love me. You do.
Well, as long as you say so.
You do. I'm not a bad person.
Right now she's trying to convince me that I love her, convince me that she's cool, etc., etc.
Oh, you don't seem bad. You don't seem bad.
He's like, I don't know if I enjoy your
I don't think you even understand.
I don't know if I enjoy it.
Again, an example of some attraction tactics, some pushaways, disqualifiers, etc. Those very types of things that build that gap that she wants to fill in and chase you.
Oh, where are you guys staying?
We're staying at the W.
Oh, it's got to. Okay.
Yeah.
We're staying like literally right around the corner because I love Tempe. Like.
So, wait, I need the vouch. Come here. You. Okay, you know this girl well. You're roommates, right?
Yes, we were.
Is she going to steal my heart and/or kidneys?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Definitely.
Which is the bigger risk?
And now I'm even sort of getting her to chase, getting a good recommendation from her friend, and I'm getting her friend involved in the process of chasing me as well.
Oh, the kidneys.
Oh shit! It was nice meeting you. Take care. I still think you're a wonderful person.
I'm a good person, I swear.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
I'm a good person.
Alright.
Have fun tonight.
I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, so that's a very good example of what it looks like when girls are chasing. And legitimately, a lot of your sets should start to look that way, where it looks like the girl's gaming you, trying to prove herself to you. Okay, so now you have a really great understanding of exactly how to get a number that's going to be solid. And I'm sure you can see how this will help you massively with your game. Obviously, getting more dates, getting more sex, that's what it's all about. And getting solid numbers that follow up is the first step in that. But I do want to remind you, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's still 3 more special trainings they'll be coming out with over the next few weeks. Next one is finding the girl's blueprint, how exactly to read her mind, get inside her head, and know just how to convey yourself so that you are congruent with what she's looking for in a man, what she's looking for in sex, what she's looking for in an experience, a boyfriend, whatever. Okay, so how to find the blueprint, how to use the blueprint. Very, very, very critical to advanced level game. And actually very, very critical to just understanding and relating to people in general. This will help you in all areas of life, whether it be dealing with like mentors, peers, business, bosses, all that kind of stuff. But specifically, we're going to tell you how to use it for sex. Next one will be the attraction lines and techniques. We're going to go a little old school here and tell you exactly how to spike buying temperature, exactly how to like get inside a girl's head, how to make sure you never have those platonic, boring interactions ever again, how to get her to chase, that kind of stuff. So definitely, I'm sure a lot of you are anticipating that. And then the final one, we're going to go really kind of deep and special. We're going to talk about how to make the girl your girlfriend, how to get that deep level of investment, that deep level of commitment, and really, really get her bought in and go deep. So those should be incredible, incredible trainings. You're an idiot, honestly, if you don't tune in for them. And those, by the way, are just the tip of the iceberg as far as the day game product. The day game product is going to have all those same kind of elements, as well as many, many others. And also, we're going to go longer in field, more in depth, and we're also going to have the mentality behind everything, the theory behind everything. We'll have exercises that you can do at home for everything, and also exercises you can do in field for all the different segments, as well as some really extra special surprises that you'll see later. So it's really just the tip of the iceberg. Stay tuned for all of the training. Stay tuned for the product. But especially right now, I want to encourage you, stay tuned for the next training coming up again. That's about finding the girl's blueprint, getting inside her head, knowing exactly how to relate to her. Right? I mean, you can get laid without knowing the girl's blueprint, and you can also swim upstream in a river. But it's really, really difficult. It's much easier to swim with the current, and you're going to get much more results, much more repeatably, and much better with a higher caliber of a girl if you're able to get inside her head, understand where she's coming from, and work from there. So I highly, highly encourage you to tune in. With that said, thank you for coming out for this one, and I will see you on the next training.